Nice. Instead of dueling screamers, I decided to go with the quiet pillow tonight.
I saw that. I like that.
Yeah, have some calm time for this crazy show we do every week. Yo YouTube. I'm not going to forget it this time. My yo-yos.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us live every Wednesday. Me, Charlie, Stu, and Stuart's pillow. The My Pillow Stu. Is that what we'll call him? My Pillow Stu.
I don't think we want to mix it with the My Pillow anything.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Yeah, so we got stuff to talk about. We have a busy week coming up, weekend for sure. So we want to cover that a little bit. Talk a little bit about Card Dealer Pro. Those of you who've had, let's just say, experiences. We'll cover the grand experience with that.
Experiences is a good way to say it. Sorry, my OCD's kicking in, and I'm like, oh, my background is uneven. I cannot function.
Oh my God, we better shut it all down. It's too risky. Yeah, I don't. As far as like card news goes, I haven't seen anything super groundbreaking. I feel like we're in that sort of weird time of year. I always look at May every year because I'm just dumbfounded on why it slows down so much.
Yeah.
And I think it's just in this weird spot. We're right in now that the finals have hit for basketball. I sold a bunch of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this week, a bunch of Jalen Brunson. I had gone and picked up some of that. I don't have a lot of basketball, so I just kind of, when it gets to this time of year, I sort of just focus on some of the names. Like last year was Tyrese Maxey, and trying to think who else it was. Also this year, Tyrese Halliburton, kind of really elevated this year into star status. And I feel like that's the way I play it. I can make some money on those guys for like a week or two, and then boom, it's back out. So
sure.
I've sold a bunch of hockey, a bunch, for me. I don't carry a lot of hockey either. So it's kind of it's I feel like this is that time of year where I just sort of like chase down a few things that I can get because I know I can flip and then move on to my regular sales. Baseball's been doing pretty well now. It's really started to pick up.
Yeah.
And I think as we get closer to the break, that's usually the case. Most of the teams have kind of cemented whether or not they're going to be good, at least, good or bad, consequently. And that tends to help. The rookie class this year, not nearly as good as last year's. No. With Ellie and all that. I went and bought a bunch of Jack Cagliones.
Yep.
This past week or 2 weeks ago. Just like Bowman Chrome base prospect cards, And I think I bought 9. I want to say 7 or 9 of them. I can't remember. I posted it in the Discord. Which, by the way, if you're not on our Discord, it's kind of running along on the bottom there. So check that out. It, of course, is free to join. Oh, let me go back to the comments. And I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so I picked up those Cagliones. I don't know, $1 a piece, something like that. I sold every single one of them already. I actually had one buyer buy like 6 or 7 of them. It was perfect timing. I mean, I bought them right before, he got called, and now he's. It was kind of funny because I knew there was all the hype, so I'm like, well, I'll just try to sell on the hype of it. And then I bought them, and like 2 days later, it was the call up. I'm like, when does that ever happen? I never get a victory like that. Usually it's, he's called. Oh, I should buy some of those. Oh, he got called up. No, I can't. Now the margin isn't there anymore, right? So unless they come up and do something pretty amazing, but yeah. So I think he's gonna probably be the one that maybe carries this year's rookies. I don't know. You can't even consider him a rookie, right? Is he gonna have enough games to be that?
If he's called up this early, he should.
Yeah, because you have to have over 100 or something. I can't remember what the requirement is. I thought it was like half the season.
I thought it was like 80. I can check.
Okay. That
Keep talking. I'll check.
Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, those are kind of like have been kind of my hot plays. I guess this week. And again, we, deal mainly in low end cards. So I don't have any Jack Caglione 101, autos or anything like that. I don't play that game, but it was nice to, buy a decent stack of things I thought I could flip right away, and then they actually all flipped. So I'm hoping that that's kind of the trend I can continue on, because I'm basically maxed out on my listings in the sports store. So it doesn't really serve me much purpose to go out and buy a bunch of Ken Griffey Juniors unless I can get them really cheap, or there's something, something really special or a huge margin in it or whatever. Which I guess huge margin would mean I got it really cheap. But anyway, you understand what I'm saying. So for me, it makes more sense to go, okay, well, I'm just going to buy the guy who's going to sell like today that I can make a profit on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't really need more inventory necessarily. At some point I will upgrade and I will go to the Anchor store, and then I'll have that. I don't even remember what it is, 90,000 or 110,000. I don't know what it ends up being for your listings. Yeah, I wish. Honestly, I wish and I don't understand why they can't do this. We've talked about this in the past, but I would really love to just have a option for an unlimited store. I don't know. I don't know if they'd have to make it like $5,000 a month or something, so they just don't bother. I don't know, but it'd be amazing if you could just keep on like they gave us. We didn't used to have 60,000 listings. I think a lot of the people on the show or in the Discord are newer, and they don't realize. Well, first of all, we didn't have standard envelope until like a year and a half ago. Well, it's a couple of years ago now, but
right.
But you only got that 10,000 listings in a premium store. That was it. And 10,000 cards is not a lot.
No, it's not. That comes up pretty fast, right?
It does. And then, when COVID kind of hit, they sort of tossed everybody a chunky number in certain categories, cards being one of them, as it was a big growing, spot for eBay. And they jacked it up and gave us another 50 grand. And it's like, man, they've been making a killing off of that,
Yeah.
Because when you sell, they earn. So I don't understand the limited listings thing. It doesn't make sense to me. If you want these stores to go big, or fine, your premium store at $60 a month, you get 60,000 listings. After that, it's Anchor at $300, and then it's unlimited. Just get it there. Just put it there. Because that's going to be a serious store. They're already going to probably be at 60,000 listings, right? Because you're not going to go to Anchor right away. So you can see they put the time in it. If you put 60,000 listings in, you're working on eBay every day. I don't care who you are, because that's a demand. There's going to be a demand there. So why not just say, okay, this is a legit, store that's really trying to make a full business out of this. Let's just give them the house. Let them list them all. We'll charge them $300 a month. I'd be way more apt to do that. I mean, as it is, I started a second store to try to, avoid some of that expense, and split it out to the non-sport. So I don't know. I'll probably drop that in the suggestion box again to eBay, and they will ignore it again, I'm sure. But
probably,
yeah, that's that's kind of my one take on their spot. But what are you doing right now with sales and stuff? Do you have any certain plays or potential plays? Don't give away all your secrets,
Yeah, I can't give away all my secrets. First of all, MLB rookie guidelines. They're a rookie if they haven't exceeded 130 at bats or 50 innings pitched in previous seasons and haven't been on an active Major League Baseball roster for more than 45 days, excluding time on injured list or September roster call-up. So
it's basically at bats. It's not games.
Yeah. Well, for a position player, yeah. So like Caglione, I think everything this year has just been prospect yet. So that
he was AAA. He was crushing it in AAA. That's why they're bringing him up.
Yeah, so to me, here's one I sold the other day, his VIP Bowman. But that to me smells like an update series rookie card.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if he plays enough, they can't make a rookie card unless he's actually a rookie. That's why it's usually the year after when they finally get enough at bats. But you're
Yeah,
right. If the
he'll be up
update
there after
series,
the year. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because he's called up so early. Yes, they
Yep.
would potentially have time to still put him in one of those sets. And they probably will because, like I said, this rookie class hasn't been super. um, I think there's a guy from like Appleton or something who's like leading the way in rookie of the year voting, right? He's a
Oh,
catcher or
really?
something. Yeah, I
I,
can't think of his name.
I have
But
not had time to look at anything like that.
yeah, it was just an article I caught, in the middle of the day today, and I was like, wow, that's okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a name that I'd never even recognized. Like I have no idea who he is. So that like, oh, this is the guy leading for rookie of the year. I've never heard the name and I sell baseball cards. Like that's, no, I'm
Yeah.
not up on all the prospects. I don't do a ton of the prospecting. You guys know I'm more conservative. I buy the vets and the Hall of Famers and the sure things, and then I sell that. But um you I think you automatically have to play in that a little bit um when you get the chance, right? Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
When I found a stack of Caglions, I was like, yeah, I have to buy all those. I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah.
based on where things were headed. So I didn't expect them to get called up this early, but hey, they need some fire in the lineup, and he can provide that spark, I guess.
Yeah.
He's with the Royals, right? The Royals, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah. The Royals.
So
Uh, yeah. I was just
I wonder
looking.
where he's going to bat. Is he going to bat behind Witt or in front of Witt? Is he protecting Witt, or what are they going to do with him?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
would assume he'll be somewhere in the middle of the lineup. I don't know why you'd, bat him eighth or something, or maybe they'll try. I guess they'll have to figure that out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Some of the early season rookie of the year favorites in the American League are Jacob Wilson of the Athletics, Jason Dominguez of the Yankees, of course, the Martian, and Kristen Campbell of the Boston Red Sox. On the National League side, Drake Baldwin, who's a catcher for the Braves, I guess.
that's the guy that is like
Really?
local. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
And Agustin Ramirez, another catcher for the Marlins. So you can pretty much bet neither of them are going to win Rookie of the Year.
Right.
And Matt Shaw of your Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, Matt Shaw's played well. I could see that being there. But yeah, I mean, none of those guys are really, the big names. And I mean, even if you look at like sophomore players, from last year are doing like look at like Pete Crow and stuff like that. I mean, he was okay last year, but he's crushing it this year.
Yeah.
His rookie cards have skyrocketed, but that's still all of last year's stuff.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it's funny how it goes that way in different waves and different years and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's another one. I'm glad you mentioned the Braves because I've been buying Acuna pretty heavy the last year and a half ever since his injury because I knew he would come back and he's got such a great hobby. I mean, he has such a huge collector and fan base. And now they've all started selling. Acuna came back, hit a home run his first game back, and yeah, so you could just kind of feel like that was going to happen. I had a big Acuna order today, 20 some Acuna cards. So,
Yep.
so I was happy about that because I'd been kind of accumulating them, sort of waiting for something to pop. I was surprised it took him this long to get back in the lineup. So I don't know if he just needed more rehab or what it was, but and they don't have a fantastic team, but if they've got the rookie of the year on the team and he comes back strong and they can improve some pitching at the break, yeah, who knows?
Yep.
We'll see.
Yeah, and you had asked, what's going on with my sales. My sales have been pretty good. I have nothing to complain about. And it's my core things, areas of emphasis, if you will. So a lot of baseball, some wrestling, some racing, some football, a little bit of Disney stuff,
Yeah,
and
Disney's done
non-sport.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's going really well, and I made some recent pickups that flipped right away. So
yeah,
clearly, I grabbed the right stuff there and made some quick profit there. Sold a James Earl Jones card the other day. That was fun.
nice. Yep,
Um, some Shohei moving, still moving
yep.
Ellie. Um, yeah, yeah. So usual
Bobby Witt
suspects
stuff
there.
sells instantly.
Yep, Aaron
You know, Witt
Judge.
is a good one. Yeah,
Yep, Nolan Ryan's in some of my recent sales.
yeah,
Yeah. So I've actually been doing really well. Pulled out a Jerry Stackhouse that had been sitting in inventory for a while and sold that
nice.
this week too. So rookie preview from 95-96 Skybox Premium. So
Yeah, and
and
you're
then
right. I've had some old '90s vet basketball sell too. You know, when you get to this time of year, you can kind of get some Dominique Wilkins and
yep,
stuff like that. Reggie
yep,
Miller. You know, yeah,
yep.
it's great.
And then if you saw in my Discord post there, like the baseball chips, poker chips, or
Yeah.
even recently I sold a 7-Eleven chip. Like
Mhm.
coins or chips, they if you list them, they will sell, I guess is the way to look at it.
Yeah.
But
Phone cards. I've sold some phone cards recently. You know, those
yeah,
can be a decent play. Yeah, it's there's always those standards, right? Like that's the stuff that I always want to keep and, picking up and keep selling, reselling and so forth.
yep,
Um, but I will continue to do that. That's how I've built where I'm at. But I'm because like I said, I have a lot of inventory. I have the 60,000 listings. Now, as I'm trying to pick more stuff up, I really want to focus on I can list this today and sell it today kind of thing.
sure, yeah,
More so than because I was kind of thinking about that with like live selling, right? Whatnot and that kind of thing. Your best results are going to be if you're trying to sell the thing that's hot at that time.
oh sure,
So I'm like, well, that's also true with a static listing. So I'm like, well, why can't I just buy them, price them at what I want, and then you should be able to sell them just as fast, without having to do the whole live show experience.
hmm
So, I mean, I didn't expect to sell all those Caglions at one time, but I also didn't know he was going to get called up, of course. I knew he would, just not this early.
right,
Um, but I'm like, if I would have done those in the live show, I might have got $1 a piece for them. And I mean, I got $6 a piece for those, you
right,
know,
yeah,
and I paid like 75 cents. So it's, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel like I want some quick money right away kind of thing, is just focusing more on like, what can I sell quick versus just buy whatever and then throw it on a live show and hope you get, some players
yeah,
at that time. So I don't know. That's sort of where I'm landing right now with my play, and it's been working pretty well. Like I said, all that Acuna stuff. I mean, it's not hard to really. I mean, sometimes it's hard to predict, but it's not really that hard to take advantage of selling things at a time when there's hype, right? I mean, if you have the cards, you list them when there's the hype, and then they sell. Like it's not rocket science, you know.
right, right. And I
Sometimes
guess
it can be hard to get access to them. Like
yeah,
I was fortunate enough to find a stack of Jack Cagliones. I mean, if I wouldn't have come across that, wouldn't have been able to do that. But I see that more often than I would say I don't see it. Where
yeah,
I see something where I'm like, oh, this will go well. Just like women's soccer and even men's U.S. soccer for that matter. I'm starting to buy a bunch of that and hang on to that because with the World Cup coming, I mean, I know it's the men's World Cup, not the women's, but generally when the World Cup is here, it also pushes the women's soccer sales. They generally have a better team, in history,
hmm
um, than the men do. So I've been trying to grab more of that stuff too, while people aren't really thinking about it.
yeah. I guess the other thing I should say about recent plays too is I did have to step up some of my marketing and promotions and some of those tactics again,
Mhm.
where I had kind of gotten away from it for a while. But more recently, I'm doing more promotions again. I had pretty much stopped adding anything new for months.
Yeah.
But now I've gone back to adding some old stuff in with promotions, dynamic promotions, and then the end sell similar. I've
Yep.
been doing that again. I hadn't done that in a long time.
Sure.
So I guess I have to acknowledge, yeah, the true totally organic sales slowed down. So then I had
Yeah.
to step up my efforts a little bit to keep it turning.
Yeah. And see, I can't do the end listing sell similar
Yeah.
because that creates another listing and then that counts against my 60,000. That's a quick way to push yourself way above,
Right.
what you're allowed. I think I messaged you right at the end of the month. I was like, oops, I miscounted a little bit. I had like
Yeah.
20 some listings they charged me the 10 cents for or something like that. And it might have been a few more than that. So
Yeah.
it's a little hard to nail it down to the precise listing amount as it is.
Yep.
So yeah, the end and sell similar, I'm just not. My next step would be because I do have some cards where I've got more than one listing for that particular card.
Mm-hmm.
So my next step would be to kind of consolidate some of those, move things between bags.
Yeah.
So if I've got a 99 tops chrome Griffey in this bag and a 99 tops chrome Griffey in this bag, just change the bag number on the one and change the quantity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or excuse me, not change the bag number, eliminate the one listing and add to the quantity
Yeah.
on the other one to open up another listing. So that's kind of the next spot I can really focus on. And then, kind of once I max that out, then then I got to go to the anchor store. I
Yeah.
have plenty of room in the non-sport store yet. I'm at like 9,800 listings, I want to say there, but I never have as much non-sport to list. So it's not as, we're versus sports. I can have all stacks or boxes of that stuff,
Right.
I don't have
Yeah.
boxes. Well, I do have some Star Wars yet, but, which I keep loading, and I do have some Garbage Pail Kids and things like that, but I don't have like, five row boxes of non-sport
Yeah.
to put on. Which that'll be my focus, of course, at the National, as you know. Um, and everybody thought I was nuts, and I'm like, yeah, I go here for the non-sport cards. They're like, you do what? And I'm like, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. You
so
sold me on that.
I did, yeah. All it took was one pony card, and you were hooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
But now
um,
that opened me up to see the potential on other things too. Like
yeah,
over the course of the year, as I start to see other types of non-sports go and some niche stuff, and then I'm like, okay, now I know where I can maybe find more of this, for next year,
right,
right?
right,
So,
right.
um, the other thing I've been doing is obviously we just closed out another month, so I took a minute to look at my goals for the year and my progress towards them, and I am on track to beat goal for everything but my gross sales amount is coming
Yeah,
up a little short, based on current trends, right? So
sure.
that made me look at my average item sale, the value of average single item,
Yep,
and I want to focus on bringing that up a little bit. I think right now I'm
sure.
I'm somewhere around $3 and something. I want to try and aim for like $5 an item, and that'll should get me pretty close to my goal then. So when it comes to sourcing, I've been looking for some different things than I traditionally have, and not hitting the dime boxes as much. And
Yep,
for example, last night I was combing eBay for auctions about the end for low numbered cards and see if I could snag a few really good deals. For example, I
yep,
found a hot pink serial numbered out of 50 for $5, and when I comped it, it sells for $12.
sure,
So if I can find some of that, I'll get it, because that creates some nice little eye candy in the store, and
sure.
then hopefully that turns into a multi-card sale. Just looking for some of those higher price point items I can pepper in a little more, because I do feel sometimes like I can feel it when I'm listing sometimes that I'm like, man, I've had
These are
way
gonna
too
sit.
many in a row at $1.99. I need
Yeah, yeah.
I need to get a little variety in here.
Well, that's where I'm talking about, trying to grab the ones that are gonna sell right away too, because you're generally not paying a dime for those. You're
Right,
you're
right.
getting, although some of the Acuñas I just sold, I picked up, out of the dime boxes at the Green Bay show. Those are exceptional boxes though too. I mean, you gotta admit,
Yeah,
when you buy from Nate. Um, but I wasn't gonna find Jack Caglione's in the dime box.
right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes I have a hard time with the higher price boxes because I just don't see the margins in it,
Hmm.
depending on what it is. But I'm going to start to go, okay, yeah, maybe it's not quite what I want to get out of it, but can I sell it right away? And
Yeah,
that's gonna change my mind, over the profit margin. Because you're right, I have plenty of those cards that I paid a dime for listed at $2.99, and they'll sell for that eventually.
right,
Uh, but that might be tomorrow's money versus I can pay $1 for this one and get $4 for it, like instantly.
right.
Um, and then again, it doesn't eat up that listing space, for a very long time.
Yep.
So I'm kind of at the point where it's like, okay, I'll list, especially with the scanner, I'll scan a batch, list it, and then that's all I can do for the day. And then tomorrow, once I get sales, I'll have a couple hundred cards sell for the day or whatever. And then tomorrow I'll do another batch, and I just kind of keep just trying to keep it full, if you will.
Yeah,
Um, and then some days you might have a few extra, but some days you might have a few less. So, it kind of equals itself out a little bit. I want to always try to at least get a batch scan per day, just so I have that listing activity.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, June is generally a big pickup month for me, and I can see it already. Over the last few days, it's the sales have been going up from where I was at in May. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where that takes me. But yeah, I mean, I would love to, in theory, just sell out of all the $1.99 stuff and then list have your whole store full of $9.99 cards.
Right.
But that's a big project too. And you still got to get the $9.99 cards for a good deal. You can't pay $6 for them. You can't pay $7. By the time you have, fees and everything else out of that, there's no margin in that versus 10 cents to $1.99. Percentage is great, but of course the dollar amount's so low.
Right.
You're making like 50 cents after fees. So I don't know. Yeah, and we've talked about this in the past. So that one's a tough one. And even at the national last year, I mean, I remember you coming up to me and you were like, you know what? I looked at a lot of dollar boxes and $3 boxes and $5 boxes, and I just can't find the value,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
for the profit in it. And then you're just wasting your time. Um, and we just kind of end up back at the dime boxes, quarter
Yep.
boxes, 50-cent
Mhm.
boxes. So yeah, probably the better move for me, just kind of going back to the Caglione thing, because since I knew that was going to be a play, I could have bought a bigger card of his, right? Um, and really maximize some of that money. So I think that's the spot where I would be more willing to, buy a bigger card, because you can sell it right away and get the cash out of that.
Right.
So I think the national will be interesting this year. I'm in a little different spot. Last year it was like just get as much stuff, get it list. It was my whole last year of my business was just pounding the listings. I was doing. You guys saw my numbers where it went to. I mean, it was at like 28,000 last July or something. So I've listed like 36,000. Not including sales. Of course, some of them sold too. So, but I'm plus 30 some thousand from where I was last year, which is crazy. Uh, so I have to go, okay, well, I can't just do that this year. That's not really gonna, and more listing doesn't equal more sales. So
Right.
you can't just say, okay, well, I'll list 30,000 more this year and go up to the anchor store and that'll get me this much more gross sales. It doesn't quite work that way. So, law of, law of numbers does apply. The more listings you have, you should get more sales, but it's not like listing for listing. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, if I have 10 listings, I get 2 sales. If I have 20 listings, I get 4 sales. It doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's going to be it'll be creative, a little more creative this year for how I build that. Now, as far as the non-sport goes, I'm buying whatever I can find non-sport that I like, that I feel like I can sell, and I'm putting it on there because I have room there, and non-sport has done extremely well for me. So yeah, any of you Kakao dealers out there, or Marvel Finest single sellers, any of that stuff, I'm your man. That's
What
the
I'm
stuff that
listening
I'm
tonight. Kakao Star Wars Disney 100.
Kakao's. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just had a big Star Wars Kakao. I just sold this. I pulled this right before the show. Evolutions, Darth Vader.
Hey,
I love the Evolution set. Um, So yeah, that's going to be like an easy, focus for me all year, is just to keep adding to the non-sport, TCG, things like that. And then just kind of rounding the business a little bit on the sports card side, because I don't necessarily need more listings. But I got plenty of inventory. And then I go through my inventory, and I'm like, well, I have to list that now because I don't know if that player is going to be, big next year. You know what I'm saying? Some of it becomes time sensitive after a while,
yeah, it does. It really does.
or out of season, like, oh, I don't want to list this Mahomes card right now. It doesn't, there's no I shouldn't say I don't want to list it. There's no priority to list a Mahomes card right now. Whereas I had to list the Jack Cagliones,
Right. Right.
that's
Now,
not going to last forever. I don't care if the guy makes the Hall of Fame, you still have to take that quick early hype buck when you can get it, for sure.
you do.
So we got that. Let's get into some of our topics. We want to talk the GOAT show. We got the GOAT show on Sunday.
GOAT show coming up.
Yeah, I can't believe it's here already. It always kind of sneaks up on us. We did sell out the tables. We have a waiting list. Just like the last show, we have some space we can still use to add some tables. So we've kind of opened that up as a possibility. So we'll be contacting those on the waiting list and get those filled. So that's another great news for us. I mean, to be able to sell out and then add to it besides, because you have even more demand.
Right?
It's a good problem to have. Good problem to have. So yeah, June 8th at the Riverside Ballroom, historic Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay, on the east side there on Main Street. And we have 70, well, it's almost 80 tables, I guess, plus whatever we decide to put on over and above that. And then we, of course, are doing the Hide a Goat game, and we're adding the Goldie the Goat this time. So if you find the Goldie the Goat and bring it up to our table, you'll get $20 to spend at your dealer of choice on the floor. The regular goats go for $5. You find one of those, bring it up to the check-in table, and they'll get you some goat bucks to spend that way. We do have the giveaway. We're giving away the autographed Marcus Allen Raiders helmet, certified by Beckett, I believe, on that one.
That is correct.
So you can enter to win that by bringing in items for the. Do you have the item list? I meant to send you that this week, and I totally forgot about it because I don't think you had it.
I do not have it handy. No.
Yeah. And it's on my phone, so that doesn't help me. But anyway, we're looking for items to be donated. It's mostly like personal care items and stuff. It's called the Caring Closet, and they give those items to kids who struggle to get those items.
Yep.
So each item you would bring in will get you a ticket into the drawing for the Marcus Allen helmet, or you can simply buy a ticket for $1. You don't have to be present to win. We do the drawing at the end of the show. We always do it live on Facebook, so no funky play there. Everything's on camera, and we'll draw the winner. If you're there, great. You can take it home with you. If not, we'll do our best to contact you. Make sure we get that helmet over to you. So that is the drawing for this time. It's just a little bit of a teaser for the next show. We're gonna have more giveaways. So instead of like our one big giveaway, we're gonna have a few. So um, something to look forward to the next show. Next show is September 28th. You can put that on your calendar. Uh, we'll talk about that more, after we get done with this one. But we do have the next one scheduled, so that'll be good. And then one of the best parts about this show is something I've wanted to do since before we even decided to put on a card show was I wanted a live breaker at the event. And we have it. We've got BB Breaks. You can you put a link to their Facebook on there?
I don't know that I got a link to the
if you have it.
Facebook, but I can share some details here of the show.
Perfect. Yeah, so he's got some spots available. We're looking at he's gonna do a live break. You can buy it. You don't have to be present, of course, to buy a spot in the break, but if you are, it's awesome. You can watch it live right there. They're gonna break on the stage. They'll have monitor for us to see it, to be able to see it, and you can take those cards home with you right away at the goat show, which is fantastic. That's something that I really wanted to do. And then of course they'll be breaking live on camera. So those of you who aren't there, you'll be able to watch it that way as well. So anyone can participate in the break. You did not have to be at the show. I know we got that question a couple of times, so I just wanted to clarify that. But Benji and his team, they do a great job. They've got a great shop and do a lot of breaks. Did you see his PSA submission that came back today?
No, I didn't.
Oh, geez, all the Jaden Daniels downtowns and stuff, PSA 10s, and yeah, he gets some of his stuff is crazy that he pulls. So buy a spot in the break, have him pull something for you, So I don't do a lot of breaks. I'm going to do this one. As a matter of fact, I'm committed to this one. I did buy a spot. So I'm excited for it. I think it's fun to be able to watch in person. We watched some breaks when we were at the National. I try to do that every year, just for something fun and, a little side thing to do while you're there. And the National's crazy because remember that like screen board, that billboard they had up on the top in the breaker area, and you had like 500 breakers on cameras at one time.
Yeah, that's so crazy on that side.
Oh man. It almost gave me a headache trying to watch because it was just all these little hands just ripping packs, and it was crazy. So we're not going to have any kind of show like that, but we've got BB Breaks and they do a great job, and they're going to be breaking for us at the show. And we want to make sure that they're successful with that. They do have a vendor table on the show floor too. So they're going to be breaking up on the stage. So if you've been to this show before, you know what I'm talking about. That's where Charlie and I do our live from, which by the way, we'll be doing that on Sunday as well. But they're going to be breaking on the stage. But they also have a vendor section down on the floor. So that's where you can purchase your spot. You can pick up your cards, all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to be like, you're not going to be at the camera table. If that makes sense. So they will have their own, dealer spot to handle that part of things. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's first time we're doing it, so be nice to us. We will, of course, get better at it as time goes on as well, but you got to start somewhere. Kind of like our first show, there were definitely things at our first show where like we had hardly any garbage cans. There's a presentation marquee outside. We never got our name put on it. Like there was just these things where it's like, why wouldn't we have done that? And every show we kind of make something a little better, add a little something to it. And, so this is where I'm extremely thankful to BB Breaks for giving us a shot with this and trying it out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and what you see here is just a summary of the Facebook event that's out there. This is the actual title from that if you're searching for it. I did just put a link.
I saw the link. Yeah.
So go ahead and give that a try. I will put a link to their webpage as well, and get that out there.
And I know Benji was on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just thought of this. Benji was on here earlier.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's still here. If you're still here, Benji, feel free to post anything you feel is appropriate in the chat. To help us out with this. But yeah. So yeah, you have his Facebook contact, and you have kind of the terms here with what Charlie's got displayed. So if you like breaking and or you even want to just give it a shot, here's a good chance to do it.
Absolutely.
We definitely vouch for these guys. Everything's all on the up and up, which unfortunately in the breaker world is, you really have to vet because there are some that do not play correctly. And that's not these guys. They're totally on the up and up. I specifically searched them out to be our breaker. So I did the vetting, and yeah, very confident they're going to do a great job. So I'm looking forward to it.
True.
Wazza. All right, let's do some chitty chat, huh?
All right.
Should we get in there? You control the chat. Well, you already know this now. You do.
Yeah.
You're the show guy.
I do all the work, and Adam just talks.
I'm kind of the pretty face. You got to have one of those. So we all play our roles. By the way, last night we played soccer in that whatever weather event you want to call it last night. So that was exciting. Yeah. So, but nobody got injured. That's all I care about when you're playing games like that. Is like,
there you go.
Don't put the ball in the air. Don't slide on the ground. Y'all gonna get hurt. So let's just play and get through it and try to not have. I'm not coaching the type of league where it's competitive kind of thing. It's more for fun. So I don't want anybody to get hurt. So
I am still on the IL myself, but the Band-Aid's getting smaller. Look, I'm down to just a normal size Band-Aid.
Nice. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you if you got the wrap and stuff off, but yeah, But that's not bad though. I mean, when did you do that? That was just like a week and a half ago or something, right?
Last week Tuesday was the surgery.
Yeah. So I mean, a week later, that's that's pretty solid when you get cut open.
Yeah.
Does it actually feel better, or you don't notice that yet?
Yeah, the very first night I could tell the difference, because normally I will wake up 2-3 times a night with my wrist and hand, my first 2 fingers and my thumb asleep, and I got to shake it back awake. And there are times if I was sleeping really heavy before I woke up, it is so far asleep, I would have to get out of bed, and it would be seriously uncomfortable because it would take so long to get it back. But that very first night after the surgery, it was gone. I haven't had that since. Playing video games, like if I go play the PlayStation with the kids or something, at least 2 minutes into any game, it was falling asleep again. Yeah. And none of that is happening now. And I'll tell you, if it's something you've been, thinking about, but you're thinking of the old horror stories of that surgery of, getting sliced way open and not being able to use your hand for months at a time. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
They let me drive home the same day. It was 10 minutes in and out.
Yeah.
Every day feels a little better. The only restriction I had was 1 pound lifting on it.
Sure.
Hoping to increase that next week for when I make my follow-up visit. But it didn't even hurt. You get a little.
Do they put you under for that?
Stiff and sore. They can.
Or do they just you just do local or something? Just
local and from the wrist down to the fingertips, and I didn't feel any of it.
Right.
That was the hardest part coming home that day, because it was like 6 hours later before everything.
Yeah. You get the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, trust me, you don't want the feeling while they're doing it. I mean, that would hurt. That, you're going to feel that, but yeah.
It was interesting hearing it though.
Yeah. I had surgery on, my leg when I was a kid. I got a needle stuck in my leg. So back when we were kids, for those of you who are not old like me and Charlie, our parents used to, or our moms used to take our like cookie tins, and it would have like crayons in it and knitting stuff and all kinds of stuff in it. Yeah, I had one of those at my house. It's totally unsafe. I don't know what the hell we were thinking, but um anyway, apparently one of the needles had got caught in my bedroom. I must have been using the crayons or something in my room, picked it all up, put it in the tin, put it away, and one of her needles, ended up in my bedspread. And I had one of those, remember the little Nerf basketball hoop,
Yeah.
you'd put over your door and you'd dunk on it. Well, the ball went under the bed, so I just kind of went like sliding across my bed to go grab the ball, and this needle went all the way into my shin.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was terrible. So they did actually have to cut it out because you couldn't get it out.
Right.
And same thing. I didn't go all the way under or anything. But I could hear it. I could hear everything they were. Same with my wisdom teeth. My wisdom teeth were in, so they had to break them all and pull them out in chunks. And I could hear all that, so that was interesting too. So I get what you're saying.
A couple days later, I was trying to explain it to somebody, and finally, a sound and visual came to mind of what I was hearing. Ever have a full garbage bag and you're trying to stuff some more stuff into it? That's what it sounded like when they were getting into my hand.
Really? That wouldn't have been the sound I would have thought. Huh,
I didn't expect it either. And it was much rougher than I expected. Like they were very forceful. And I said something to the doctor and he's like, well, to be honest, that's some of the toughest skin on your body that we're trying to get through. Yeah.
So they have to kind of like push it in, right? Is it they take the tendon and they have to kind of shove it to a different position? Isn't that?
No.
I mean, what is this? What is the surgery? What are they doing? Are they removing something?
So
just cutting it?
There's basically a sheath that all your nerves and tendons and ligaments and stuff go through in there. And over time, all of those things kind of swell up and they start getting constricted in there. So if you imagine a garden hose with all that stuff in there, they just slice open the end of it.
Oh, like a side of it.
Opens up and gives more room. Yeah.
Got it.
At least that's how I understood it. Somebody in the chat will probably tell me I'm full of crap. But
so he's trying to cut through that and he's telling you, well, this is like solids. It's like a hose and I'm trying to cut it through.
It sounded like rubber band snapping.
That's what I would have expected it to sound.
Yeah.
Like. That's what I would have said.
But it was like, also like they were going.
Yeah. I mean, they know what they're doing, so you gotta give them credit where credit is due.
I couldn't have. I'm already looking forward to late December, probably right before Christmas, after a coach's outing I go to earlier in the month. That annual one I go to up in Munising. I'm gonna have the other one done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I told you I had a friend who did both at one time.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Are you nuts? You're not going to be." And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "It only takes like a week." He's like, "I got to be off for a week anyway. I'm also doing both." And that's what he did. So
I wouldn't have done both at the same time because the 1 pound lifting restriction is a pain. And honestly, there is some discomfort. Like every once in a while, if you were around me, you'd see me doing stuff and then just suddenly wins. But it's very brief, right? So it's not like the knee surgeries I had where
knee surgeries are
totally
terrible.
Painful. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much that goes on in a knee, and it besides that, it's a joint, it bends, it does all these things and you put weight on it. It's got to kind of keep your body from falling down besides. So it's yeah, it's a different thing. All right, let's move on in the chat.
All right, Sports Section Plus says, hey, it's me. Got it all figured out. Technology and a broken phone.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's right.
Like
Brian said he had a broken phone. What are you talking about? My phone works fine.
Every once in a while, you have some technical difficulties.
Well, sure. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Yeah, it's funny because I have this conversation a lot, and I feel like that's kind of the one thing that you're never going to get through the rest of your life now, because technology I don't care what you do, there's technology in it, and there's always going to be troubleshooting, right? I mean, how many days can you think of where you haven't had to try to get through something or learn a new, tech thing or something like that? It's like, if you don't like technology, you are going to suffer for a super long time because it ain't going anywhere, and it just gets more and more. And the more you embrace, generally the better and the easier your life can be.
Yep.
But yeah, it's not perfect. And we've learned that a lot with Car Dealer Pro in the last couple of weeks too.
That is true.
With some of their frustrating functions or non-function. Well, we even talked about that a little bit before we got on the show here. Like, man, why don't they just tell us like when their downtimes are going to be so we don't try to scan and and we're losing something when we try to do those scans and they don't work. Costs us money. You can't do that. You got to figure out some sort of way to compensate, people when you got to do stuff, customers when you got to do stuff.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, Benji is here.
Hey, there he is.
Cards.
Nice. Benji, if you got a camera, we could throw you on the screen.
Yeah, there you go.
We could do that. Let's see if we can.
A camera. Who doesn't have a camera in this day and age?
Well, and he's a breaker, right? I mean, come on.
You know what's
funny?
Speaking
can
of
you
cameras,
add him to this?
This morning I sent my wife a message, and I said, "Do you know where the camcorder is? Like the palmcorder, Sony palmcorder?"
What the hell is that?
She's like, "Why the heck would you want that?" But I started thinking about it, and I was like, when I'm doing YouTube videos and stuff, that actually might come in handy instead of me trying to position my phone. And sometimes I want to use my phone in a video.
Right,
so
right.
Like, I'm pretty sure we have a tripod and the palmcorder upstairs that never gets used. Maybe I finally found a use for it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. If you got a way to get the footage off of it, I don't know if you just plug it into your computer or how do you...
your laptop. Yeah.
You could get a GoPro too. I mean, I think pretty much everybody, if you're going to do like regular content, you pretty much have to have a GoPro at some point because you want something that can go mobile, that has a lot of attachments and stuff.
I've been checking them out.
Yeah. They're not super cheap and they don't really go on sale or anything. It's not that type of product. So you kind of just have to bite the bullet and spend the $250 and have it and go for it. But, I don't use it nearly as much as I used to. I mean, I'd use it for like sales day videos, which I haven't done a video in a while now. I've kind of taken a little break from videos. But like card shows and stuff, it's great. You can strap it to your chest, your shoulder, your helmet, your hat.
For sure.
So it's just kind of fun. And just a side thing, even if you're not going to be using it for like making videos and stuff, it can be good as a business record. So most of us, are at the point where we're selling enough stuff, we got to report this, or it gets reported to the IRS, and you want to write off your cost of goods, of course. So I like to have some videos of buys and things so that I can show, I buy this stuff at card shows and this is what I paid and whatnot. So
sure.
And whatnot. We're not supposed to use whatnot on here. I always forget. Hey, thanks. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. I always forget this part. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. What else do we got to do? Oh, share it if you think somebody else will enjoy it. If you're not watching us live, thanks for watching the show. But try to give us a live shot. 8:00 Central Standard Time every Wednesday. You can be a part of the chat. We have a good time on here. And that way you can be part of the show. That's way more fun, don't you think, Charlie?
Heck yeah, it is.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
What do we got here? Oh, Goat Show Week. Yes. Max is here. I couldn't see that. It was underneath my photo. Anyway, yes, Goat Show weekend, June 8th. So this Sunday from 9 to 2 at the historic Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay, downtown Green Bay. Weather's supposed to be decent, that I've seen so far. And we've got an awesome dealer list this month. I was taking a look at everybody who's booked. We got a good variety of stuff. We've got TCG, we've got Pokemon, we've got should have some non-sport. I guess I didn't verify with the dealers, every dealer, what they're bringing, but of course we'll have plenty of sports cards. We'll have wax. We'll have we've got the break going on. There's gonna be lots of good stuff there. Packs for the kids. When they come in, they'll get a free pack. We've got some 1990s wrestling stickers for those who are into the wrestling.
Woohoo!
So it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a good time. We'll have the Goat Show banner hanging, so you can tag us in a photo with your pickups from the show, and be entered to win a prize that way. So yeah, lots of great stuff going on at the show. Try to make it out 9 to 2, June 8th. All right, let's move along. 10K, yeah, I'm watching mine. I'm at 86. Did he say 86?
Yeah, 86
Yeah,
bucks.
8,600. It looks like kind of looks like 88 too. Those some of the times those comments look weird on my screen for some reason. Yeah,
I think this was
8,600.
in reference to when we were doing the sell and relist.
Yep. Yeah, so he said he's conscious of it because he knows he can only go to 10K. Technically, you can go to 11K because you get your regular 1K and then your 10K bonus. So if you're on the regular store or whatever, what is that called? The standard store? I don't even remember anymore.
Basic, maybe?
Basic? I don't know. I have one of them, but I don't remember what
So
it's called.
basic.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But you can go to 11,000. Yeah, you can throw that up on the screen.
Yeah, I was just looking for it. Subscriptions. There
So,
we go. I think it lists all the different ones.
but the premium store, you get your 10,000 listings and then 50,000 additional in the sports card or in the trading card category. So I guess that counts for TCGs, non-sport and sports. Yeah,
So we
so
go
there you go.
starter, basic, premium,
Yep,
anchor,
basic,
and beam me up, Enterprise.
Yeah, that Enterprise one is insane.
It is, isn't it?
What do you look at even Enterprise? You don't get unlimited listings. Like, come on.
Yeah, but you get unlimited rental cars.
Oh
No?
my gosh.
No,
That
that's
yeah,
not
what
the
it
same?
it's not time for dad jokes. Not time for dad jokes. Enterprise rent a car is not part of the eBay subscription
Oh, I
plans.
thought that's what that was.
It's not. Although that wouldn't be a bad little benefit. Free rental cars. I mean, that if you traveled enough, that'd be a solid benefit.
There you go. There you go.
But
For
yeah,
only
basically,
$3,000 a month.
right. I think the vast majority of us are either in the basic or the premium. By far, premium is the best value store out of this entire list. 60,000 listings for $60. I mean, you can't really beat that. But the
Here's
basic
a whole table of comparisons.
basically on the basic store, once you get towards that 10K, you might as well quick change yourself to the premium store and just pound it out and list as much stuff as you can to try to take advantage of the 60,000 limit that you have at that point. If you want to get bigger, I mean, if you only want to be at 10,000 listings and you're going to make that work, that's fine too. But yeah, if you're trying to get to the premium, you're best to just switch to it right away at the 10K and then just list.
Yep.
That's kind of what I did. Once you get to 60,000 items and it's $60 a month for your store, essentially it was a penny per listing per month. Is what that comes down to. So that's pretty solid deal, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because that anchor store, it's $300 a month, and I think you get an additional 25,000 listings. Is that right?
Yeah, it goes up to 25,000 a month.
Yeah. So you're not getting a whole lot more for that $240. So
yeah, you're getting
that
15,000 fixed price and 500 auctions added.
Yep. Yeah. So you do get a cheaper listing fee if you list additional above that, because I think it's 5 cents then, right? Drops down to 5, so it drops in half that way.
Cents.
But yeah, still, I it's hard to see the value in that jump. Which is of course again why you open the second store instead.
Yeah. Well, Anchor, I think their big selling point is this one right here. This dedicated customer support.
It's not worth $240 a month.
According to eBay, it is.
They are incorrect.
Best for sellers who? So Why would you go for an anchor store? Because you're a high volume seller that has an extensive product catalog or are running a business that would benefit from dedicated customer support.
Right. I don't want that. What I want is more listings. I don't need the
Right.
dedicated customer support. I want to reduce my expenses and be able to list more products. Those are the two things that, I would place my focus on. They don't
Yeah.
give you better placement in views. They don't, you don't get any free promotions. Like they don't throw any of that stuff in like for business development wise. Basically just, well, if you have a problem and you need to call somebody, I guess we'll have someone available for you. That's basically what you're going to get for that money.
They say if you got a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
Ice ice, baby.
That's right.
So anyway, you're right. We hadn't reviewed that in a while. Think that was a good recap. Heck, I can use that review once in a while because generally you set up your store and then it's just there. You don't really,
You don't think about it much anymore, right?
not a whole lot. No, not a whole lot. I think more about, listing and shipping and you're right, your daily grind part of it. But yeah, it's the anchor it's a tough selling point for me.
Yep. Johnny M is here.
Johnny's at 11K. Oh, 11K is enough for you. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. There's no reason that you'd have to jump to the next level by any measure. But it gets hard because if you start getting larger quantities of stuff you want to list, I mean, you can eat up 11K pretty quick.
Yeah.
Even if you're a casual lister. So, and I don't care who you are, because I've had some sellers try to claim this, but I don't care who you are. Not every single card you have is liquid, like, instantly liquid. That's not true. That'd be virtually impossible. Or if it is, you paid a high premium to get it. So I don't, you're going to have stuff that is maybe going to take a bit to sell.
Right.
And that's where the listings start adding up. You'll get the sale. It'll eventually leave your store, but if you're piling this week's purchases on and then next week's purchases on and next week, if you're buying regularly or buying collections or volume or something like that, yeah, I mean, you could hit those listing marks pretty quick. I mean, like I said, I did 30 some thousand listings in 1 year, this past year. So they can go quick. And that's with a lot of sales. I'm also aggressive on promotions and coupons, so I'm selling quantity besides. So I do have some quicker sales even on not hot stuff just because of pricing and volume discounts. And still, I was able to be at 30K plus.
Yep. Yeah, you can push up there pretty quick.
Yeah.
Dan's with us.
Hey, Dan, how are you doing? Did you just appear in a smoke cloud as I imagine you to be doing? Hey, Dan, guess what? It's 1 month until you can spend your entire life savings at the wildcard booth.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Dan, are you coming to the National? I kind of forgot. Is he, do you remember Charlie? Is he coming?
I don't
I thought he said he was going to try.
Committed to it or not.
I know Bargain Boxer is. I don't know if he's on here tonight, but we'll definitely run into him. You'll enjoy him. He's a good time.
Yeah.
I saw him in Chicago last time. But yeah, the Chicago show, Cleveland, definitely had its pros and it definitely had its cons. I just think the venue in Chicago for what they're trying to do with this show is just perfect. It's pretty hard to top, minus the no air conditioning thing in July is kind of sad, but maybe hopefully they've got that
better this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping they have that, fixed, and we won't experience that. I think the biggest thing is, I think when you book a venue like that, you pay for the air bill. Maybe, I don't know, because I remember them saying something about, well, it was just Wednesday, it was the preview night, it was only a few hours or whatever, so they didn't have them turn the air on. I'm like, it's July, like you can't. Anyway, I didn't feel that way in Cleveland. I didn't feel like it was overly cold or anything, but I didn't feel really hot. You know what I mean? It felt like they did fine, keeping a temperature. So I don't know. And I've been to a lot of conventions, not just big card shows. I've been to some super mega cons. I've been to San Diego Comic Con, some Star Wars celebrations, lots of other smaller comic conventions, and I've never had it where it was like
I mean,
everybody's just sweating.
I guess if the
It's
air
very
is not
strange.
working, it just means we all go shirtless.
I will stay home. I don't need that kind of pressure. Can you imagine what it would look like having all these shirtless card guys standing at these boxes? Oh God, it would be terrible. But I felt bad because like we found a dealer that we really wanted to buy some stuff from. He had the kind of stuff I like, and good prices and all that. But he was literally next to the heaters, and the heaters were on. Yeah, so it was that hot already. It was halfway through the day, and then I had the heat pounding on me besides. And I mean, I'm like dripping into his card boxes. I felt so bad. I'm like, I'm gonna get your stuff all wet. He had just a terrible spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably like my one negative memory from there. I really hope that's not something we have to run into this time. So we'll see. But anyway, Dan, if you're going, yeah, we'll see you there.
So I just made myself a note for my packing list: wrist and headbands.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I always wear a hat, so that helps a little bit, and then I always bring hydration with me. I always have a bottle of water every day when I'm on the floor, and then I add a hydration pack to it. So that at least keeps you from getting dehydrated or cramps or something like that if you can't get to something to drink. But yeah, that's about all you can do with it. If it's hot, it's hot. You could bring one of those like personal neck cooling fan things or something. Maybe that would help a little bit. I don't know. I don't have stuff.
The boys got me one of those this year. I'm looking forward to trying that out this summer.
Did you do you have your collapsible stool too?
Yep, I have that too.
Yep, gotta have that because it's getting chairs at some of those tables is tough. They're either taken by someone else or they just don't have them. So
yeah,
yeah, anything you can do to add a little bit of comfort, for those hours an hour, because it's literally like 5 days of 8 hours a day of digging in boxes. It's pretty brutal. On your back and your arms and your shoulders and your neck and all those good things, feet.
How's the VIP lounge in Chicago to catch a break?
Yeah, the VIP lounge was good in the past. So basically there's a lounge area upstairs. What we've done in the past is we go early on Wednesday to pick up our bags, like before the doors open. We go up to the VIP lounge. They always have like pizza and cookies and soda and stuff. All that's, for free up there. They have a few like minor autograph guests that are free. So like I know one year they had Jan Stenerud and oh God, I would stand in line for that. That'd be amazing. And I'm gonna have them sign twice. I want one on each glove. But they usually have like a Bears legend there, and just kind of that sort of thing. And then they did like some drawing things, and they had some other stuff. But there's tables there, so most of the VIPs just kind of sit around. It's a chance to go through your bag and do all that.
Yeah.
Then you all kind of hulk back downstairs and get into this massive, group entry sort of
herded in
situation. Yeah, kind of. And then they let you in, and that's your preview night or whatever you want to call it for Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I thought the VIP lounge was pretty good, but you're welcome to go back up there anytime you want. They don't always just have pizza, cookies, and soda sitting around, but you can go up and sit there. There was also another VIP lounge on the bottom floor, and that was like where they had like couches you could sit at and stuff like that.
Do you get kicked out for trade night?
No. Well, trade night was always in the hotel. Again, I don't know exactly what they're doing with it this year. I don't pay that close of attention to it, but
That
it was
a
in the
shout
high.
out to Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a bad move on their part, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to see that in Chicago. I think they're going to have that in Cleveland. It's really tough because where else are you going to put it? It has to be at the event center because there's nothing there. There's no connected hotels. There's no, you know, there's nowhere else to do it. So in Chicago, that's not really the case. There's all the hotels and stuff right there. Someone else will host it, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. It's a little different setup in a city that, part of their annual revenue is from conventions, right?
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's move on. Barton Cards and Collectibles is here tonight.
Hey Troy, what's up? Let's see. Sold 15 Aiden Hutchinson today. Nice. Going to my local LCS, see if I can going to my LCS, see if I can find some more. Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's always been a good seller for me too. And you're right, this isn't a bad time to do it because he was hurt, and he'll be back this season. And I'm assuming he has full recovery, I'm sure he'll play well. I expect the Lions to be good again. I sold speaking of wild card, I sold a Panay Sewell wild card auto today for $75. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's not a guy I would pay $75 for, so I think that's a really good sale.
Yeah, and wild card, so non-licensed. Yeah. It was from the wild card mat, and it is numbered, of course, as pretty much wild card numbers, all serial numbers, all their stuff. But it was numbered out of 30, I think, so it wasn't like super low.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really happy with that. So anybody who tells you wildcard doesn't sell, they're totally dead wrong. You have to find like the right buyer. It's not like common market generally for a lot of it, but you'll find somebody who digs them like we do, and they'll pony up for it.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, welcome Troy. Thanks for joining us.
Troy says it was all the same buyer that bought those 15 Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah, that generally when I have multiple card sales, which is pretty regular at this point, it's generally somebody buying all of one player, all of one team, or all of like GOAT type stuff, right? So like they buy like a Messi and a Mahomes and a Brady and a or something like that. Sometimes I don't do a ton of prospects, but sometimes I'll have somebody who buys like a bunch of different prospects. Like that's kind of the other one, that bunch of the rookies for the year or something like that. But yeah, they kind of go in those groups that way.
Johnny M says sold 19 2014 Topps NFL coins in the last 10 days. Bought a lot of 27 2 weeks ago. Very nice.
Yeah, I didn't even know they did coins in 2014. That's interesting. Something similar to that, the Pinnacle Mint stuff from like 97, 98. Those sell pretty well too. So I'll find a box of coins once in a while at a dealer, a little bag of coins, whatever. I'll buy those. They do sell. And the die cut cards, a lot of people will pay up for those too because they want the card to put the coin in. So
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I would like entirely base my business on coins, like football coins or baseball coins, but they're a nice thing. They're a nice thing to add, like the poker chips, right? Yeah, exactly. And you have to remember, always think about your customer base. Generally, our customer base is going to be the collector or the end user, right? They're not going to buy $2 cards looking to flip them. Especially since that's usually more than what they're actually worth. We're just charging that much because we have the expenses. Right. So, if they like this, if they really like John Elway, they might want the little coin to put next to the card on their shelf or in their office. So it's a little bit different buyer than like the person looking for the main product downtown everybody wants kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Max chides you. He says the men have a U.S. soccer team.
Yeah, they do. They do. I think they're better than they'd been in previous cups. They're going to automatically qualify because we're the host, so that's kind of the good news. They don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I can't remember if they did the group draw yet or not. I have to think about that. But it'll be interesting to see what group they place in, because if they get, stuck with like England and France, and like they're not going to have a whole lot of chance. Argentina or Portugal, or one of those
The big boys.
powerhouse teams, Brazil, yeah, they're gonna struggle to get out of group. If they can get a good group draw and at least get out of group, to be honest with you, that's an accomplishment for the men's team. Like that would be them doing pretty well. Uh, no one expects them to win the cup or anything like that. Usually there is some advantage to playing at home. I think most teams see some advantage in that. So, maybe that'll help too. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, the women are, in the history of the sport, the Team USA women have always been much better than the men's team, or fared much better than the men's team in results. So, happy Wednesday.
Heck yeah.
Let's see. Can you read that? I can't read that one.
Rookie questions. I'm confused about starting an eBay store regarding listing fees. For premium store, you get 10K free listings per month. So without paying extra, the fastest to get to 60K in 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, your best bet, I don't know how you're listing, but I would say your best bet would be to stay away from shiny cards and only pick up cards that scan, and then just keep scanning. That would be your fastest way to get to 60K. But obviously, lots of cards that sell well are shiny cards. So you'd be losing out on getting those kind of cards listed. But yeah, if we're just talking speed and, hey, I'm at this number, I want to get to this number in a short period of time, it would have to be scan.
Yeah, I agree. So he does go on to say, what's the best way to expand a store quickly but affordably? So I think you just covered that. He also says he heard us talk about relisting things. How often do you do that?
Yeah, so I used to, when I was in like heavy growth mode and I had a lot of listing space, I would probably once a week or so, I would do some end listings, sell similar, just a couple hundred at a time, just to take some old listings and kind of freshen them up a little bit.
The eBay algorithm does like that.
Yep.
And it's if you haven't done it before, Snappy, it is highly entertaining to end and relist something and watch it sell in 2 days when it's been sitting for a year.
Yeah. Now, with that said, you could still sell that card in 2 days. It's not like all or nothing. I mean, it just has to get some eyes in front of it. There are a lot of shoppers. I mean, we talk about how it helps the algorithm, and that's probably true to some extent. But I think there's actually just a lot of customers that look at new listings, and that's where they find it. Because as soon as you end it and you relist it, it shows up as a new listing, and they go, "Oh, look, this Acuna card is now a new. It's just got listed for $3. I'm going to buy that one." And yeah, it's been sitting out there for a year, but as far as they look at it, it's only been out there for 2 days.
Well, I think more importantly too is the eBay algorithm likes things that makes them money. And if your listing has been sitting for a year and hasn't sold, the algorithm's not going to bother trying to push it for you. But if you list something new that others have recently bought, now it's going to say, hey, I got a chance to get another, 12% cut plus my fixed value fee.
Yep.
Let's get that out in front of some eyes so we can make some money.
It's true. You know how else they could make more money? They could give you unlimited listings.
Unlimited listings, yeah.
Unlimited listings. I'll make them more money. I have no problem with that. Yeah. I just want more money for me too, and more, products I can put out there. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I honestly believe the limitations are so that they can scale their technology appropriately and provide the proper level of support.
I don't think the number of listings really matters that much, though. Based on, I think there might have been a time when that really mattered, but I think now that they're doing all their own hosting and everything, I can't imagine that. I don't know. I mean, we're talking like trilobytes, or what is the next one after like terabytes and stuff? I mean, we're talking like these huge amounts of
Godzilla bites.
yeah storage space, and like a listing cannot take up that much, and everything that sells comes off of it anyway. So
Yeah.
let
Yeah, I
them
don't know.
let them fly. But yeah, clearly there's a business decision reason why they do it. I don't know. It's frustrating because I feel like there are a lot of other websites where you can list unlimited amounts.
Yeah, that's true. Johnny says if you end sell similar on items ending soonest, it won't affect your listing count since they will be relisted automatically anyway. But then why? I'm wondering why would you end and sell similar if it's going to relist anyway?
Right. And what you had, and that was going to be my comment, along with if it just got relisted and now you're ending it and relisting it, now it's listed again in the month. So it's
Yeah,
technically the second listing of it.
yeah,
So you'd almost want to go to the ones that are oldest, not the newest, because they haven't been already relisted in the month. But yeah, I just think you want to watch, you know, I don't know. When you get up closer to the number, it's a little harder to predict that, because if if your if your newest listings had already been relisted once and you're relisting them again, it happens to fall in the same calendar dates, yeah, you're gonna have that listing is gonna be twice, essentially.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
That is not a problem I've had to worry about yet.
right. You'll get there.
Yeah, eventually.
hmm I'll tell you, it's nice though. I don't feel any pressure to like, I got a list, I got a list, I got a list. It's not,
Sure. Yeah.
it's a nice break you can give yourself once you start to get up to that point. Um, and you're right, it gets replaced with other worries and thoughts and frustrations and concerns, but at least that's gone. The constant pressure to list.
Right. Yeah. Max says, Snappy, it's really just basic math and how fast you can list. Yeah, to a great
Yeah,
extent, it is.
it is that, and time. I think time is probably your biggest enemy on anything anything in life, really. Um, so yeah, his question was what's the fastest? And I can't think of a faster way than to take basic, easily scannable cards,
Yeah.
and list those. That's going to be
Fastest and
the quickest.
affordable, he said.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, affordable is up to you, and affordable is relative.
Yeah.
Some people can afford $1 million boat. I cannot. So it's yeah, that's really up to you, and what you want to do for margins. You can also price your stuff super high and not sell anything, and that would increase your listings because you're not getting sales. But if you want sales too, then that changes a little bit on how you do it and how fast you could get there. So I don't know. I don't think we've talked about this in the past, and I haven't brought it up in a while, but I think it's a big mistake to go, I've got a couple cards that I've sold in the past, so I'd really like to start selling cards. So today I'm going to list 20,000 cards. I think that's a huge like that's too fast. You need to scale up. You're not going to have the customers yet to buy all that. And oh great, they do buy it all. Well, guess what? You're not scaled enough. You don't have everything prepared enough to handle that volume that might come in. Maybe you're working another job, or you don't have your stuff organized as well, or whatever the case may be. It's like you can't. I would never say like, okay, day one open premium store, day two list 60,000 items. Like that
Yeah.
just seems like a really bad business plan. um I don't know why, I'm not quite sure why you have a huge rush to try to get there. If it was just like a general question, but I would say pace yourself a little bit, because there's going to be cards you don't know enough about. Um, you might have errors while you're doing some things, and if you do them all at one time, that's just going to profound that, and you're going to have bigger problems. So I don't know. I would say do it in chunks, get better at it, get faster at it, and then just kind of keep working at it until you hit the number. It took me about 3 years, almost 4 years to hit 30,000 listings, and then it took me less than a year to hit 60. So you can accelerate it, later on as you get better at it, and you have scanners and things like that. That definitely helps.
All right. Steven Rhodes is with us. He says, do you have luck with 80s pop culture cards like E.T., Superman, Indiana Jones, etc.?
Yes. Okay, so...
But not all of them.
Well, I would say you definitely can. Generally with those, when you're getting a collector that's buying ET cards from you, they're probably putting together a set, right? You're mostly going to see set collectors for that, unless like they have a specific scene from the movie that they like or something like that. But so you might have, let's say you've got a full set of ET. Let's say there's 100 cards in the set, and somebody comes in and buys card number 11, 27, 42, 47, and 58, and 62. They're probably just buying the cards that they don't have, right? I mean, that's how that goes. So yes, you can sell any one of the cards from the set, but you gotta find a buyer that's looking for that card, which is pretty specific. Versus like what Charlie's trying to say is you buy the stickers or the inserts or the one per packs or
title cards
or fabric used cards from shows and things like that. Those are the things where that's a much easier sell, and those will probably go first for you. When you're talking like Star Wars is probably the biggest non-sport property that sells, and you're going to sell Princess Leia cards before you sell Chewbacca cards, so it can even be like character based. I had gotten sometimes I'll just buy a big lot of a bunch of non-sport sets. Some of them I really like or I know will sell, and I list those, and then other ones I'm like, I got a big stack of Monkeys cards. Remember Monkeys, the band, the singing group?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, whatever, they're scannable. It's like 50 cards. I'll just scan them in and they'll probably never sell. They sold great. Like who the hell's buying Monkeys cards, But they went. So yeah, you really never, I would say you could pretty much sell any card if you price it decent. Especially with non-sport, if you have a quantity of those cards, you're probably going to do better, especially if you give discounts on quantity, because your buyer probably doesn't need one Monkeys card. They probably need like 4 or 5 to complete their set. Maybe they got a cheap wax box of them for $15 and they got every card in the set but these two, so they're just going to buy those two so they have a full set. I've even had it too where I have a reseller that'll buy that way. They're looking for, they got like bought a collection, and most of the, Empire Strikes Back Star Wars set is there, but these 3 cards, they'll go to a dealer and buy the 3 cards. So now they've got a complete set that they can list and sell, because it's easier to sell like a full set, to get your money back out of something like that. So, but yeah, anyway, to answer your question, yes, you can definitely sell. I've sold ET cards. I've sold, who else you got on there? Superman. Superman's not a great seller, but I've sold Superman cards. The stickers do okay. Indiana Jones I've sold. So yeah, any one of those, any licensed cards will find a buyer. You can't get a ton of money for them. Like if you're looking at the base cards for ET, I mean, you're looking at $1.99 per card, which is what my base price is on a listing. I think that's yours too, right, Charlie?
Yeah. I think the caution I often have on this is So a lot of these, like these particular names, a lot of times there's a lot of them produced.
Mm-hmm.
And they're marketed to kids, and most of them you find out they're probably are not that great a condition. And I think condition is something you're going to have to watch. So I think there is risk that goes along with these. Adam said it before, you can sell literally anything. It's just finding that buyer. I feel like,
how did Goonies cards do, Charlie?
well, Goonies are legendary, so that's different.
So Superman isn't? E.T. isn't?
Nah, not the same way as Goonies. Like,
Okay.
there aren't kids out there being like, imitating E.T. I mean, in a funny way, yes.
Wow. Yeah.
But Goonies, you got Data, you got Mouth, you got, you got Mikey, you got, like, you, as a kid,
The Fratellis.
you tried to relive that story to an extent, right?
Yeah.
So
I watch Goonies at least 2 or 3 times a year. It's a freaking classic.
Pinches a Pale.
Yeah. And the Lou Gehrig baseball card gets me every time. There's a baseball card. Lou Gehrig. He says it like, who the heck's Lou Gehrig? I'm like, really? One time I was talking to a kid at a show. I can't remember if I was set up at the show or I'm pretty sure I was just attending the show.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's the guy who died from Lou Gehrig's disease. And I'm like, well, it's named after him. So yeah.
I think I remember you saying something about
this. And I'm like, it was funny, but not funny. I mean, it's tragic, but yeah, it was just the way he said it. I was like, yeah, well, okay. He's not wrong, I guess, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
He's not wrong. Yeah.
That's the guy who died of Lou Gehrig's disease. Yeah, it's Lou Gehrig. So sure. Yeah. Kids will always provide a little spot of humor. So I'll take it.
Snappy says, thanks. I'm definitely not going to ramp quickly, but trying to understand the process.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah. And I think that's great that you're doing that. You're figuring it out in chunks, and then you're going to decide, what's your best course to get to where you want to go. To me, and this comes from my old banking world and, dealing with businesses and stuff. Most of the businesses I saw fail. Well, either they have poor management or poor, financial setups, but the other reason is they try to grow too fast. They get one restaurant, it's fairly successful, so they open 3 more thinking, oh, I'm just going to triple my money putting 3 more restaurants out here. And then you have one that's maybe not in as great a location, or now you're like actually creating competition with yourself, or this restaurant, the people there don't like Italian food and you're an Italian restaurant. I think that growing too fast is a pretty quick way to put yourself out of business. So
yeah, I could definitely see that, having, just started 2 years ago. I can't call myself a rookie anymore.
No.
But I definitely remember those days. And if I was doing 18 months ago what I'm doing right now, I might have flamed out. Right. So,
and you can burn yourself out on it. I mean, there's lots of different things that can kind of happen. And it's great when it's something new and you're excited and you're doing some extra things. That there's nothing wrong with that, but just, whoa, you gotta just kind of sit back at some point and just go, okay, is this going way too fast? Am I missing a lot of things? Stuff like that. I don't think it's a great business to like borrow a lot of your money, your operating money. I think it's better to buy some cards, sell some cards, take the profit, buy some more cards, kind of have the business pay for its own growth. I think that's a better process than, because no matter what, anytime you're selling retail, you're always taking some risk that you don't sell anything, right? Because like you can't, it's not like, oh, I'm starting a utilities company and people have to get my power from me. Okay, you're probably going to have customers for life because they really don't have any other option. It's not the kind of thing that we're selling. So you have to kind of and you'll find this out. The longer you do it, you'll be like, oh, this month I did $10,000. This month I did $2,800. Like there's gonna be, well, discrepancies shouldn't be that wild, but if you're doing it right, but you just don't know that stuff yet. So you have to kind of take it step by step and give it some space to evolve. And again, you don't have a customer base. You're new. You don't have the feedback scores. You don't have followers. You put 60,000 listings out there. You don't really have anybody looking at, for them. Versus you got a couple thousand followers. You've got a 5,000 feedback score. What is it called? Power Seller Plus or whatever. What is it? Top rated.
Seller.
You're not top rated plus yet. Like there's just things that you don't have where, okay, yeah, you shove all that inventory out there, but if you don't have a buyer, who cares? So.
True that.
But great question.
If you're joining us late, we did provide a link to BB Sports and their live break scheduled at the GOAT Card Show this weekend, where Adam and I will be your hosts. So you can find that in the chat earlier, both the link to the event on Facebook and the link to BB Sports Cards website. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, it's on shows on June 8th, Sunday, June 8th, historic Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay from 9 to 2. So we want to see all of you there. And if you watch the show, stop by, say hi.
Yeah.
We'll try to catch some of you. We will be doing a live show from there like we did the last time. I thought that was a lot of fun. Didn't you think so, Charlie?
I did, yeah.
So we'll do that too, probably a couple hours into the show, give us some time to get it set up and work with vendors and do all that. Maybe do a little bit of our own shopping. Not maybe, totally. We'll make some of our quick pickups and then we'll get up and do a live show and we'll show you a little bit about what we were able to find at the show. We'll have all the dealer floor behind us because we'll be up on a stage, so you'll see everybody. And maybe we'll have Benji on then. Maybe we could do a little interview with Benji while we're up there.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Absolutely.
I can shoot him that idea and see what he thinks. Because that was good for us last time to get attendance. We had people who came in that were like, "Yeah, we watched the live show, so we thought we'd stop by." So maybe Benji being on there too would help promote the breaking side as well.
For sure. Yeah.
Because anytime you're trying to do something new, that's when you have to put your most effort in for promoting because nobody knows, right? So you gotta, it's all on you to get it going. It's not like, oh, well, okay, we have the live breaker here. Next show we'll have the breaker again. Okay, I know when it's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like like even our show, when we first were doing it, I'm driving around everywhere, dropping off flyers, doing all this stuff. We're posting in all kinds of groups and paying for promotions for people to see it.
Yep.
And I would tell them, oh, the GOAT Show, what is that? And now it's like, oh, you guys run the GOAT Show. Like, it doesn't take long for, if it's something good, especially, or something really bad, I guess. But it doesn't take too long for people to recognize something. So, but you got to put a lot of promoting efforts in starting out. And I would say it's the same with selling on eBay. You're going to need to promote your listings to get yourself out there because no one knows who you are and there's a lot of competition.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, Squishmallow cards.
Yeah, Loafy Joe's with us. He says Squishmallow cards. I am tempted to grab some of those every time I see them. I have not yet, but it's just one other product that I think about checking out, right? So
because a lot of people will ask me this. I think more and more people are getting interested in the non-sport cards. It was kind of weird when I had brought it up or I had said, I was buying this stuff. So I get a lot of messages like, well, how do I know what to buy? And blah, blah. So my suggestion with that is try it. Find a product that you can get pretty cheap. Like there's stuff that I'm like, I don't think this is going to, the American Bandstand cards sell. I was like, who the hell's buying these? We're getting them I'm getting them for $10 a case or $20 a case. I can't remember what it was. 20, right? It was $2 a box.
I think so.
$2 a sealed box. Like how can you go wrong, right? But that's what I love about like dime box stuff because I can buy a few Olympics cards and see, well, am I even going to want any of these? I bought some pony cards. Well, I know there's a big pony fan base. Maybe I can sell some pony cards. They did very well. Those Monsters Inc. Blu-ray cards, that I was talking about last week. I made like $400 on those 8 cards. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So and when you do this long enough, one of my instincts is I'm flipping through and I'm going, oh yeah, it's that card, it's that card, it's that card. And I'm like, I've never seen that card before. I pretty much just buy it because if I haven't seen it before, chances are there's other people that are looking for it that never find this damn card.
Right.
And then you got a pretty good shot at getting a sale. So that's kind of how I do it. I always kind of, I'm trying to think of how I referred to it, but that's like stretch out. That's how I stretch my business out is I go, and I look in this box and I'm like, oh, BMX biker cards. Sure. I'll try some of those and see how they do. Why not? I love BMX biking when I was a kid. I would love a trading card of my Diamondback bike that I had when I was a kid that I saved all my paper route money for to buy. And then it got stolen like 2 months later. I would love a trading card of that. We're in the age group now where we're buying all our old crap. That's kind of what those, 80s non-sport things are. Because you're not going to find a ton of 2021 non-sport sets. There really isn't that much. They don't make much paper products of stuff. Unless you're looking at the Japanese, like the Kakao and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Star Wars, of course. There's always going to be Star Wars products. Those big guaranteed sale type properties, but there was a new Lilo and Stitch movie out. Are you going to find new Lilo and Stitch cards? Probably not. And as big a movie as that is, I doubt they're going to make anything for it. So you're kind of stuck to the 80s where was the wax boom, and then the 90s had a lot of great sets, and then kind of that late 2000s to 2010s where you had Cryptozoic and Inkworks and those companies are coming along and making Smallville cards and Psych cards and things like that, Charmed. But you're not going to find a current show, you're not going to find trading cards of them. So you have to kind of be realistic and what would have had something produced as well. But I don't know, Squishmallow cards, they're kind of interesting to me too. There's such hype to them. But I've tried Beanie Baby cards before, and obviously there's no hype to Beanie Babies anymore, but it was huge at one time. So I thought, people who, maybe don't want to go back and buy those little bean characters anymore, but maybe they'd like a trading card of, I don't know, whatever teddy bear they liked, and I could get some sales that way. And the Beanie Baby cards are just dead. They don't really do anything. I've never sold one, and I've had a few listed. So, yeah, my suggestion wouldn't be necessarily to go home and buy a whole box of something if you don't know it's going to fly. But if you find a few in a quarter box or a dime box, you want to take a shot at it, that's probably the best way to do it. And then if you're like, oh, these really sell. I remember when I picked up a few Beavis and Butthead cards, I'm like, oh my God, I love that show. Somebody else must love that show and want these cards. I'm like, is anybody going to buy these? I bought a few cards and they sold right away. So I was on eBay buying sets, to break up and sell as singles. So you can always, get more later in most cases.
Sometimes it's tricky too, because you'll think to your example there, Adam, oh my gosh, this is something I love, and there's got to be other people that love it. And there are, but are those people also the type of people that go out and search eBay for this?
Or want trading cards.
Right.
They might have loved BMX biking like me, but they're like, I don't need a card with a bike on it. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of need two things to hit when you're trying to sell an ET card. You need somebody who liked ET and somebody who likes trading cards. If they kind of don't like both, I don't know that you're gonna have a buyer there. So
Yep.
Yeah. Now, if you buy some Squishmallow cards and you list them, will they all sell tomorrow? No. That's definitely going to be more long tail for sales. Unless you have something rare or super in demand out of the set or something like that. But as far as I know, with those cards, there isn't like anything super, chased.
My example to go with your Beanie Baby example is Precious Moments.
Oh yeah.
So they're companion cards to Precious Moments, and I came across them super cheap, so it's not like I was taking a big risk, because I knew there were diehard Precious Moments collectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that does not necessarily translate to diehard Precious Moments trading card collectors.
Right.
So I sell one every 4 or 5 months, but that's about it, right?
Yeah. But that you're exactly right. That's what I would do. I found 4 or 5 in a box. I bought 4 or 5 for $1. Who cares if they never sell? So what?
Yeah,
Versus I spent $50 on this box and I'm still sitting on all the cards.
right, right.
It's probably not the best move. Now, when we went to the National, I found an entire row in a 5-row box of Goonies cards, and some of them I have like 100 copies of the card. I didn't care. I bought every single one because I know what the market is for Goonies cards. So you can like I said, stretch out a bit, and then you can build off of that if you've got something that goes. Boxing cards. I thought boxing cards would be huge. I bought some of the what are those called again? What's the name of the brand? It's not
KO.
TKO. It's
Yeah.
KO. KO.
Yeah.
And some of the boxers obviously sell pretty well, but a lot of them they just kind of sit around. I didn't have a ton of sales on them, so I don't think I'll be buying a ton of KO cards unless it's specific names.
Yep. Joe says, if talking gross procedures, I had an ultrasound done on my eye once. Very surreal.
Nope. No one goes near my eye.
Yeah, I can't even use contacts.
No, me either. No, I'm the same boat. My eyes are extremely sensitive, and I don't like it. I don't want anybody near them.
So Brian's referring to his tech troubles here. So I guess I didn't hear about that. This kind of sounds like he was having trouble with the eBay app, maybe, or something.
I thought it was something. I thought his phone got broken, but
Okay.
I don't know. What's he talking about here?
2 weeks worth of troubleshooting and posting to eBay and spending time with Jess, etc.
Well, yeah. Yeah, again, we kind of talked about this at the top of the show. Technology is there and it's great when it works. It's just something you're going to have to deal with down times and rough times of forever.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. And sometimes it's nothing you can do yourself. Like when CDP isn't working, that's it. Like you can't what's the workaround? There isn't one. You just have to wait until it's the AI software is working again, and then boom, you can scan back in and go. I guess you could go with stock image stuff. Maybe in some situations you could work around it, but to get what you're really trying to do with it, not so much. By the way, my banner is still not working on my listings
Really?
in Car Dealer Pro. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've contacted them twice now, and now they had to open a ticket and send it to whoever. It's really weird because I can see it in my profile. It has a little picture of your banner, and I have the box check that says add to my batches. I've even done it through their suggestion where I've scanned the cards in for the batch, and then I go in and that little drop down menu on the top left.
Yeah.
I click that and I say add banner to images, and it does the little circle on each image, that it's trying to do something. I assume trying to add the banner, and boom, they all pop up, no banner. So can't even do it that way. So yeah, it's really weird. And it was working just fine. And then all of a sudden I did a batch and something looks weird, but you're not quite sure what it is. That's kind of how I felt. Like I was looking at my pictures and like, well, this looks different. What's wrong with it? And then I'm like, oh, my banner's not on there. I'm like, that's really weird. And yeah, haven't been able to get it back since. So I don't know. I never changed the image. I haven't done anything like that should have taken that away, but yeah, it's not working.
And did you try removing your image and adding it
I
back
did.
in?
Yeah, and so what I did was I download, because of course some of that stuff was on my old laptop, and I didn't move it over.
Yeah.
So I basically just downloaded the banner image that I had on Card Dealer Pro, and then I tried to re-upload it. That didn't work. So then I went and got the actual banner image that I had, because I did have that in a like a photo cloud.
Sure.
So I actually went out there, grabbed that, got that on my new laptop, and then uploaded that, and that didn't work either. So I don't know. And
Maybe
one
you
was
can take a look at it.
a PNG file, which should be fine. Can't remember what the other one was. They might have both been PNGs. But those extensions are fine. You can use those. Those files qualify for their banner
Yeah, they should be
upload.
fine.
Yeah. So maybe the other one was a JPEG. I don't know. But either way, and that's the thing. When I would go re-add it, it did show up in my little profile, screen where it has your banner label, that shows up there. So
Yeah.
obviously a new one that I uploaded is there just fine. It's just not adding it to the batches.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
really bizarre.
So I was like, well, did you guys change your parameters? Does it need to be a certain size? I don't know. But yeah, I haven't heard anything back. So that's where I'm at with that.
Well, speaking of Dan before, he says, Goat Show banner. What does it say? Once you go goat, you can goat back.
We have too many dads on this show.
I don't think it says that. I don't think it
No,
might
it does.
be. I don't think that's it.
It does not. It does not, Charlie. So basically, it's like one of those, like top pole hanging banners where it just hangs down to the floor. It's got the goat on it, and then it's got the hashtag Goat Show or Green Bay Goat Show. I can't remember exactly what the words are there, but yeah. So we just take a picture of you, holding your cards or whatever you bought at the show. Take a picture of you. We'll post it to Facebook and or you post it. I guess we take the picture with your phone, like the customer's phone. They post it, hashtag the Goat Show, pickups, whatever. And then that gets you entered into another drawing. So do that. If you're going to be at the Goat Show and you're going to buy stuff, why not take a picture in front of it? It doesn't really take you much extra effort. Gets us tagged, right? Which is good. Yeah, and you get a chance to win something else.
Absolutely.
I can't remember what the prize was. Was it $20 or $25 or something? I thought it was like.
Yeah, you would have to ask me that. I don't remember either.
I don't know. So basically, Charlie and I put our name on this thing, and we do not that much of the work. Our women folk are our heroes in this event. So we do a good job promoting it. I would say that's probably our place. Dropping off flyers, talking to the different dealers, and going to the shops.
Well in the ideation phase.
You're right. And using the live show and then doing the show from the show, that kind of thing. So
yes.
presence, but not as much of the actual operation.
Yes. Bill C. So I haven't said his name in a long time. Siamis?
You used to give me crap because I would trip over this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Siamese. Like
no,
cats.
That is not it.
Siamese cats. That's what he's forever known as. Thanks, Bill. And I've got something to reply to you, and that's Waza.
True.
It's fun every time.
It is. It never
gets old.
Max says it's a shame anywhere else is even considered, anywhere else than Chicago, that is. The air was busted, and then it got fixed. I don't think it had anything to do with a bill.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I thought too. And then I can't remember where I heard that. It was a reliable, source that I got it from. That was like, well, they told them not to turn the air on Wednesday. And I'm like, why the hell would you do that? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, I don't know. But yeah, that was was something. And it, the thing is, it wasn't really just that one year. The year before, it got pretty hot in there too. So I don't know. They need new HVAC people or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it got toasty. But
Yeah.
you're right. I know that was like a big bone of contention at the last show. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have some focus on. Are you guys gonna have air on? We're gonna get there and it's gonna be freezing. We're all gonna have we're not gonna be wearing
That's okay.
anything. We're gonna have sweatbands. We're gonna have hydration packs, and then it's gonna be like 48 degrees in there or something. I don't know.
Probably.
We'll make it work. Whatever it is, I don't care. Weather. It's funny when you talk to people who are super focused on the weather and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be really cold today. Oh, it's gonna be really hot today," and it's like 64, and that's when they're saying it's cold, and it's like 82, and that's when they're saying it's hot, and it's like, you want it to be 73 every single day, like like you have to try to find some comfort in days that are not room temperature because you're only ever going to be disappointed, and especially where we live, right? I mean, it can be 100 with high humidity in the middle of summer, and it can be minus 40 with a wind chill of minus 60 in the middle of winter. So it's really hard to find those middle days. We get like 10 of them a year, maybe, where it's 72 degrees. Like that's not really a thing for the most part. And even if it's 72, it'll be that for a few hours, and then it'll get up to 80 something, and then the thunderstorms hit, and then it drops down to 60, and then it's so it ain't staying long, even if you get it.
That is true.
Yeah.
Max shares his displeasure with the setup in Cleveland as well. He says the food and bathroom lines in Cleveland were horrible. Chicago has never even been a quarter of that.
He is 1,000% correct. Yeah. Now, as the VIP, I didn't have VIP.
I get it.
Very, very important peer. We didn't have problems getting bathrooms because we had access to some that other people didn't. As a matter of fact, the VIP bathrooms, it was basically walk in, go, and walk out. There wasn't even really a line
for
the most part. But yeah, if you were like a regular attendee, it was pretty rough. I talked to, a couple people in the line just through random conversations, sharing tables for lunch or whatever. And they were like, yeah, it was like 45 minutes to wait to take a leak. And I'm like, man, if you really had to go, 45 minutes is an eternity. That could cause you problems. So yeah, the food trucks, that's true too. It was pretty tough, to get something to eat, and it's really not in Chicago. There's so many places you can just stop at. They have like a lot of bar top spots, because they have like food vendors inside. I want to say like inside the walls is the best way to put it. So like you have your perimeter wall, on the outside of the convention center, and then there's like little eating spots in them.
Yeah.
And then they usually have like some bar tops outside that to kind of stop and eat at, but you might have 2 or 3 people in line ahead of you, and that's it. And you get some food, and it's really not. It's kind of an afterthought there versus in Cleveland. You're like, well, it's noon. I'd like to eat by 2:00, so I better go get in line. Like it's insane. So
yeah,
I think personally, and I get where they're coming from because it's a money thing, but personally, I think they sold too many tickets to Cleveland. I think they should have just realized that they weren't going to have as many resources and then just not had as much attendance.
I still thought the parking situation was interesting where you didn't get parking passes with the VIP stuff, or
and we were supposed to.
I
thought it said that there was VIP, or they were just supposed to let us in because it was VIP or something. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, that never really worked out. You're right. Yeah.
But that first day we had to pay to park, and then nobody paid the rest of the event.
Right. Yeah. The people who weren't VIP then got in free, while us VIPs on Wednesday paid. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think we'll see it in Cleveland again. So it's kind of done.
Yeah, Dan agrees. He says, "Don't worry, it won't be in Cleveland again. The IX Center is closing. You become business used."
Yeah. Yeah, and although I'll say I had a great time in Cleveland. Like outside of what we knew were kind of be headaches, like I had a pretty good heads up before we got there. And again, I've been to tons of different conventions at different convention centers. Um, but we met a lot of nice people. We got some nice cards. We went to some good restaurants. We went to that really cool movie theater to see
Yep.
Deadpool. Um, our hotel was fine, like, and it wasn't a terrible drive in and out. So parking, yes, and there's those things that suck, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good experience. But
Yeah.
I just don't think a venue like that can support this size of show anymore.
Sure.
Where Chicago's like, yeah, no problem. We'll put them in one wing of the building, like that.
Yeah.
The Rosemont Convention Center is just ginormous. This isn't a big deal for them.
Right.
Plenty of hotel space, all that. So,
Dan also says, in 1 month, I already spent my life salary on wild card on TikTok buys.
nice. Well, Wildcard's going to be at the show, and they're expecting you there. They've already got a spot in line for you, so
Right?
you
Yep.
better show.
Let's see. Max says BYOC.
Yeah, bring your own chair. Yep, he's right. Yeah, I love that little collapsible stool. The one downside to it is you basically have to carry it in your backpack when you're not using it, and it's not
Right.
super light.
Yeah.
So if you're walking around like 8 hours at a show and this thing's in your backpack, it's not great that way. But yeah, you
I find
got
it
to do
provides
something.
some pretty firm pressure on your spine too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll keep you straight for a while, I guess.
Yeah. Max says a lot of changes happening this year for Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Trade night was at the CC Convention Center in Chicago 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they ended up like basically renting out a whole venue just for the trade night. I don't know if they're doing that again this year. I don't really follow that stuff because I don't do trade nights. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
After 8 hours of digging in the box, I want to go sit at the hotel bar or in the hot tub or looking at my cards or doing something. I don't really want to go sit. I don't have the kinds of cards that are big trade, bait type stuff. So
Sure.
for the most part.
Johnny says it's time to go watch the Mets kick some Dodgers ass. Catch you later. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking the Mets. They're pretty solid. They have a good team this year. See how far they can go. The Cubs are amazing, but the Mets are good. So
my Brewers have been surging.
they have they had a nice draw for a period of time here where they're playing not as good at teams. That definitely helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been playing well. Yelich has been playing well. It feels like it's been forever for him. Bryce Harper too, right? Or not Bryce Harper. Reese Hoskins has been hitting pretty well. Yeah, Sal Frelick. Gosh, who's your other bigger hitter? Has Churio been playing pretty well? I feel like I've seen his name a little bit. Because they were going to send him down to AAA.
Yeah, he was really struggling. He's kind of straightened some things out, but he's not on a tear by any means. He's just playing at a major league equivalent now.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Max says, so you really aren't touching your already listed sports inventory anymore? Trying to wrap my head around what you could do. Relisting in lots or just plain delisting and putting fresh stuff comes to mind first. 60K just sitting there is a ton, especially when you have plenty more to list.
Yeah, it's definitely not just sitting there. I mean, I'm selling a lot of it too, but uh not 60K all at once. um so yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, where I'd consolidate, because some of those listings it might be the same card, but I have 5 of them listed. You know what I mean? 5 separate listings. Especially if they were scanned, because you know, I'm not gonna look at if there was one listed before. From scanning a batch. So I can consolidate some of those. That would help open some listings that way. Um, yeah, maybe taking some off. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, my focus really has been expanding on the non-sport. So I'll just kind of keep the sports sales going and go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, will I have to go to an anchor store? Probably eventually. Excuse
Yep.
me. Yeah. So par for the course.
Yep. Max says Collecticon had 0 issues with temp. I'll take it cold in there.
Yeah, I kind of prefer. I don't really like cold. It's not my thing. But in a convention center, when you have a lot of people and bodies start warming things up and you're moving around and you've got your backpack and you got, I agree. I'd rather have it be a little cooler than a little hotter, for sure.
Yep.
And just even just for the sake of the air movement, right? If it's going to be cooler in there, that means they're moving more air too. Because to cool it, you'd have to get more cold air in. And even that has a lot of value, because if it gets hotter in there, it gets stagnant. How the air just gets kind of, and it just sits there, and you feel that. You're gonna feel that over time. So yeah, I would rather have it feel a little cooler, but I don't know. We'll see what they do.
Yeah. And then Max says, understandable. The money I spent off the show floor is by far the best money I spend all week. I think he's referring to like trade night deals and stuff.
Yeah. I would say that I would still. Well, I don't know. I find pretty good deals on the show floor, so it depends on what you're buying, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see if you're looking at the way you buy is a little different than the way I buy. So I could see where like a trade night would be perfect for you. Not even necessarily to do the trades, but just go look at people who are trying to move stuff and then buy it off of them. I don't know how many people are bringing their quarter boxes to trade night, and then I would buy them off of that, which is still my general spot where I'm buying from. So I don't know. I've been to a few trade nights, and I was kind of like just sort of walking around and observing more than anything else. And I'm like, this isn't really, not really for me. I'm going back to my room.
You don't know till you go check it out, right?
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Max says anything above 65 is irresponsible.
65 is probably about perfect. In all honesty,
that would be perfect in a setting like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And he says 90% of the transactions that happen at bigger trade nights are cash transactions.
That's probably true. I could see that.
Well, that actually catches us up on the chat. A little over 2 hours in.
Good.
We are caught up.
That's awesome. We can kind of get done on time tonight. That's pretty refreshing.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't happen very often.
Not recent times, no. And I'm down to 10% battery too, so that works out.
Okay. All right.
But anything else you want to add? We want to pump one more time. We've got the Goat Show Sunday, June 8th at the Riverside Ballroom in Green Bay from 9 to 2.
Yeah.
Join us. Free admission, free parking, ATM on site, great food at a great price. Plenty of seating. We've got a bar. We're doing our live show from there. We've got the Marcus Allen autographed helmet giveaway. Bringing an item for the charity
Sharing closet.
Charity closet. Thank you. I don't know. That name eluded me for a second there. Otherwise, you can buy a ticket for $1 for an entry, and money will go to the charity closet. We've got the live breaker, BB Breaks, breaking on stage. There's some spots available. We put the information in the chat here for you to be able to, get in there and buy your spots. Otherwise, you can be there the day of and pick up your cards, as they're broken too. Broken? Is that the right way to put it? I don't know.
Broken?
If it was a break, is it now broken? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, join us for the break. We've got Hide the Goat. We've got a dozen white goats that are going to be $5 redeemable for $5 of goat cash, and then we have our golden goat that will be redeemable for $20 in goat cash. Good at any vendor table. Charlie and I, of course, will be there. We'll be set up with a table, selling some stuff, and like I said, the live show. So hope to see you there. We've got National in about a month. We'll be there. Hit us up if you want to do some meetup or hang or meet. That would be awesome. We had a great time with Dan. That was one of the things I really liked the most about Cleveland was, loyal viewer, great guy, and it was just a lot of fun to hang out with him. So,
Yeah.
That's to me, that's what I always like the most about conventions. Yeah, you have the artists there, like comic convention. You have the artists there, you do costuming, you've got stuff you can buy, all that kind of thing. But it's just like hanging out with people that are out of your area that you don't see all the time. That's kind of a special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Keep listening, keep trying to grind it out. Baseball is going to be the hot thing next as it gets towards the break here. So get that baseball up there.
Yep, for sure. Other than that, I would just say, remember, when you see the goat, we're talking about some of the greatest of all time.
Remember, you can't sell what you don't list. And give us a thumbs up. Thanks for the reminder, Boom Slang. Appreciate you. We'll see you all next week, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Myself, Charlie, JC3 Cards and Collectibles, and Stuart the Goat. Join us live. Have a lot of fun. We'll see you next week.